Hi, Bernadette and Manuel. You are raising a really interesting topic, guys, which is procrastination. And I want to join to your chat by this video. And well, I want to start talking about the first. You usually in your chats you talk about other stuff at the beginning at the beginning of it, and I still remember the last one. And Manuel, you talked a little bit about the public transport system over there on Chicago, right? And I found that really interesting. And actually, I have a record, a podcast, right? A podcast deepen in that, right? That was the what I talked about in the scholastic competition, which is the new challenge that Christian is raising, right? And I have deepened a little bit. You gave me a great idea, because in that video I didn't reach to talk about that, right? Because you talked about so many things, and I wanted to reply, to reply, right? And but this time I guess it'll be easier, because you have shortened your video, which well, it's great as well. Well, if you do a long one, it's amazing as well. But when you shorten your video, if it gives me more opportunities to, or it gives me an opportunity to reply shorter, right? More concise, in a more concise way. And you have talked, Manuel, about Peruvian food. I have sometimes I will look here, because I have written down some things that you talked. Not obviously not everything, only some points, right? And you talked about Peruvian food, right? Which I want to. I said I can't avoid mentioning this, because Peruvian food is amazing, right? Is amazing. Here in Santiago, there are a lots of Peruvian restaurants, and I've attended to those sometimes, and Peruvian food is amazing, right? So if you, and I guess that it is considered one of the best cuisines on over worldwide, right? So Bernadette, I recommend to you trying Peruvian food. Um, Perhaps well, it's a little bit spicy, right? But it's incredible. I don't know if you like spicy food, right? I'd like to be able to describe you this taste, but a taste worth more than thousand words. So I guess that I can't convey this taste to you. But if you have the opportunity, Bernadette, go to an Peruvian restaurant, and I'm glad for you, Manuel, that you have the opportunity to try Peruvian food over there in Chicago. For example, over there in Australia, my uncle lives on Australia. I don't remember the restaurants from South America, other places like that. It's more common there. Over there, it's more common tasting, trying. It's more common to have the opportunity to try food from the surrounding countries, right? But the American continent is a little bit far from Australia, so my uncle doesn't have the opportunity to try Chilean food, right? But I remember that once he used to talk to people who speak Spanish as well, sometimes on the street. And I remember that we were over there and we talked about, we met with a Peruvian lady, and she talked about Peruvian cuisine, because I'm really curious about that. And she told us that basically it's a kind of a mixture, right? It's a kind of a mixture. It has some traits of Chinese food, right? Because the sorry if I don't know very well history, right? But there were Chinese slavery on Peru. Low, I guess 300, 400 years ago. I don't. I'm sorry if I don't know history that much, right? But there was an influence, a trait. There is a trait of Chinese food in Peruvian food, right? So go and try it, Bernadette. And well, now I'm going to talk about the main topic that you have tackled here, which is procrastination. It's definitely not easy to talk about that, because well, we usually have, everyone has their own schedules, right? But typically there are things that we want to do. We have a strong desire to do something, but we don't give that first step, right? We don't give those steps to walk towards our goal, right? And for example, I was thinking, I am being procrastinating in this learning process. No, I really, I guess I can't say that, right? But I think that nowadays I am procrastinating with working out, right? I can say that. And the reality is that I tend to look for excuses to not working out, right? And I think that it's a key aspect of procrastination. We tend to look for excuses for not doing something, right? And that happens to me on working out, but I want to stop that. I don't want to procrastinate anymore, right? But there is another aspect that happens. I remember that happened to me in the past. That in the past there were moments when I wanted to learn English, right? I remember, for example, now I'm 39 years old. For example, okay, I'm going to, for example, suppose 20 years ago or 15 years ago, there were moments when I felt that I wanted to learn English, but I didn't know how to do it, and then I procrastinated, right? I procrastinated. But the reality that, well, thinking now about how was my situation back then, I think that it really wasn't easy to learn English in those years, because really there were so many barriers, right? barriers that nowadays don't exist, right? But in those years, I remembered, okay, I want to learn English. I remember once, for example, I guess perhaps 12 years ago, I bought some magazines, right? I bought some magazines, and the typical workbook, the typical English book, listening. But I remember that I studied a little bit English, right? But the thing as is that the only choice that I had was studying English, right? Not communicating, right? Which is what we are doing now, right? So the thing is that I remember that I had to encourage myself to study English, right? And then I felt a big barrier, and well, finally I've procrastinated, right? I remember, perhaps is the typical thing that most people do, is that they collect English magazines, collect things in English, and things that they really never read, or CDs in those years, CDs that they really never listen, right? And that happened to me. I bought a collection of magazines and some CDs, but I never. Perhaps I have listened a little bit of that, but it was not easy. It was not easy. And well, the only choice that I could have had was taking an English course, right? But that was obviously expensive, right? So and well, nowadays I realize that an English course is not the best, because finally, at the end of the day, you are studying as well. If you don't change your minds, it's all on your mindset, guys. It all depends on your mindset, because you can be on an English course and you can take a complete advantage of it, but sometimes you can be in an English course and you don't take that advantage of that, right? So it depends on your mindset. And I guess that in the past I had the studying mindset, right, of English, and then I procrastinated, right? I procrastinated, and that happened. Well, the thing is, well, I had a kind of intermediate level, between intermediate, basic. I don't know how to qualify it, right? And then for a while well, there was a moment when I did a course in 2010, and I improved a little bit my English. I improved it, but then I didn't practice it anymore. Well, the thing is that I had a level of English, and then I went to I have been to Australia for holiday, right? And then I realized about all my lack of English, right? And well, but at the same time, that encouraged me to try to learn by myself. But it wasn't easy as well. And well, what I started to do in those years, I'm talking now about to 2015, I began to learn songs by heart in those years, and that's the way that I began practicing English, right? learning songs, learning songs, and then sorry if I'm beating around the bush, guys. Well, but the thing is that then I began to, in, for example, I don't remember, 3 years ago, for example, I began to look up on YouTube about English, right? About English, but I didn't deepen in that, right? There were only some videos, but then things changed, and now I feel that I have created. I'm going to skip lots of things, right? Because this I don't want to tell you the whole story. It could be a little bit long. And nowadays, I guess that I have created all together with you guys this environment of English, right? This English environment. So I feel that I'm in a continuous dialogue, right? I'm in a continuous dialogue, and now so I want to. Well, I wanted, basically why I said to you this story, because I hope that other people would listen to this as well. Is that in the past there were so many reasons to procrastinate, right? But now it's easy, right? Because now you if you deepen, if you dive into this world, you will feel that really you will feel like if you were in an English speaking country, in an English speaking world. It perhaps even perhaps it's better than being in an English speaking country, because you can be in an English speaking country, but you can be not, your world, your environment could not be completely surrounded by English, right? And that's what I think you that is the step you have to dare to do, right? Or to make step to, you have to give that step, right? I'm going to look up to that and give that step, right? Give that step, guys. I'm not talking about you, but then Manuel, I'm saying you are involved in this world of Canguro English. But I want to encourage other people to give the step to join to us, right? To join to this world, right? And don't get a part of it, right? Don't get a part. Don't be a passive learner, right? Be active, right? If you be active, you will get involved. You will know people. You will know the topics. You will develop a kind of history, right? Canguro English has a history, right? And you will be part in that history, right? So, or you will. I'm using the word history, right? To give more a biggest connotation of this story, right? Be part of this story, right? Be part of this story, and so I guess that sometimes we procrastinate due to barriers, right? Due to barriers, we see that something is too harsh, right? and you procrastinate. And it's a matter of motivation as well. You, Bernadette, you have mentioned that key concept, motivation. Um, you have to develop your own way to motivate, right? To motivate yourself to keep communicating, right? This is not a thing of studying. Don't think this as a way of studying, right? Think it as a way of communicating, right? So develop your ideas. See what other people are doing. But this is a thing of socialization, right? Well, we are all different as well. We are all different. So, for example, um, there are people that enjoy more chatting, right? So if you enjoy chatting, there are loads of opportunities to chat here on Kanguro English. I'm really amazed, and I'm really glad that people are chatting so much, right? So if you enjoy that, go and chat and join to this. Well, I have to say, well, I rather make videos, right? And I like to encourage people to make videos, right? Because I strongly believe that is the best method to learning English. But the reality is that each one has to find their most suitable way to practice English. And well, let me read here. What more have you? Another interesting thing that I have listened to you, Manuel, was about Leonardo da Vinci, right? That you said you have mentioned two scientists. Well, Leonardo da Vinci, we can say that he is a scientist as well. Two scientists, Leonardo and Thomas Alva Edison. They we can't consider, for example, Leonardo. He was involved in so many topics, right? And it was a kind of he was in a kind of continuous moving around different topics. Well, that is another stuff, but I think that we are able to do lots of things, right? So that mindset about okay, you have to to get to know what's your way, and follow that way without seeing other ones. I think that mindset is a mistake. We are able to do lots of things, perhaps not that many things, right? Perhaps not that many things, but lots of things. So you can perhaps you like English, you like music, you like traveling, perhaps you like reading, you like history, there is a pool of things that you can try to develop, right? And well, Leonardo, he obviously he lived in another age, right? in another age when science wasn't that developed that it is now, and perhaps somebody like Leonardo couldn't exist nowadays, right? But he was an incredible genius as well. And it was the other thing that you have said to us, Manuel, was really interesting as well about Thomas Alva Edison, right? What more have I written here? Um, you have to take. You have given a great piece of advice, Manuel. We have to take control of our learning process, right? And well, Bernadette, you have said motivation, which is a key. Well, that is what I was reflecting as long I was listening. Right, I written some things, and I thought a little bit how to reply. Right, to try to join to your chat as if I was there with you. If I was there with you, and there was another thing that I wanted to say, but I don't remember now. But well, thank you very much for this really interesting topic, guys. There is another feeling that sometimes people make people to procrastinate is embarrassment, right? They are shy, right? They are shy. They I have been thinking a little bit what happens to people. Sometimes they are shy and they don't dare, right? They don't dare to talk. They don't dare to making videos, cause they are afraid of their mistakes, right? But you have to start. This is a long process, right? For example, I in other videos I have told to you that when I arrived here in Chile more than 30 years ago, I wanted to integrate into the group, right? And I didn't speak Spanish very well, right? In more than 30 years ago, right? And I had a kind of Australian accent in my Spanish, right? And I was a child. I felt so embarrassed because of that, right? So, and I stopped. I stopped speaking English. I stopped everything related to English, right? And then I finally, after 30 years, I finally, or 20 years, for example, I have nearly lost it at all, right? And then I began to try to recover it, right? And I'm well, now I'm in that I'm continuing in that process. I'm trying to get all that back that I had once, but it's not easy, and it shows how strong embarrassment can be, right? Well, I can be able to forgive myself because I was a child, right? But most of you guys aren't childs, right? Aren't childs. So why should you mind that much? Why should you feel that embarrassment nowadays? So the reality is that nobody nobody cares that much, right? So the reality is that don't care that much about speaking bad or something like that, right? And well, the fun thing is that, well, nowadays, that embarrassment that I felt when I was a child about speaking English, now it's the other way around, right? Now it's the other way around, cause nowadays I'm not shy to making videos on the street, right? Well, perhaps if I'm really at the side of somebody, well, I won't be talking, making a video loudly in English, right? But really, if I really don't mind if people listen to me, and well, and something can happen as well, that people could see. They can be near me. They can be a native English speaker, or somebody that speaks English really well, and that person can notice that I make some mistakes or something like that. But well, you I don't mind, right? I don't mind, and I would like to spread, right, to convey that attitude towards you. I'm not talking in this moment to you, Manuel and Bernadette. I'm talking to everyone, right? To not being shy, right? Because that is another reason to procrastinate, right? Which is not good, right? Because you start postponing things a week, a day, a week, and then at the end you have postponed things lots of years, right? And when you don't use English, you begin to forget it, right? I think that we have two rates of learning and forgetting English, right? I guess that there exists a rate of forgetting English, right? So basically, if you, for example, you have an English level now, right? Here, for example. But if you don't speak English anymore, your English begins to go back, right? Little by little, little by little. So what you have to do, guys, is, if you are here, for example, you have to develop a rate of learning English which is faster than the rate that pushes it back, right? So, for example, I'm going to give an example. Suppose that you forget 2 words per week, for example. But if you learn 3 words per week, right? Well, you are winning, right? You are winning, right? So well, I guess I have written down all what you have spoke, guys, and I strongly want to encourage everyone to keep practicing. My piece of advice is making videos, right? I have to say that, right? But if you don't like to make videos, well, there are lots of opportunities to chat. There is another way to learn English, and communicate, right? Communicate. dive into this world, right? And stop procrastinating, right? Nowadays there are no excuses. Don't look for excuses, right? Don't look for excuses. You, for example, there is a typical excuse: oh, I don't have time. I don't have time. And then you see that those people watching, for example, watching TV in their, watching a soap opera, watching lots of stuff in their own languages. And you say, well, why don't you watch all that in English, right? So it's not a matter of time, right? It's not a matter of time, because there are lots of moments that there are lots of time in which you can seize on them, right? You can seize on those times to both learn English, listen to English, and do other stuff, right? And then you can, for example, or either chat or shoot a video, and then you can turn into your own teacher, right? Because you can check your video, and you can see your mistakes, right? I strongly believe that you and I, you and we, that we are able to spot our mistakes, right? We are able to spot at least, I think, 80% of our mistakes, right? And actually I believe that the most higher level of English you have, the most difficult is to spot your mistakes, right? But when your level of English is low, it's easier to spot most of your mistakes, right? For example, suppose I want to suppose that I'm starting now with English. Suppose I'm starting. So I want to say that okay, I'm planning to for example, I'm going to say it well, that how I think is well said. I'm planning to do a tour in a couple of months' time, right? Okay, suppose that you are a beginner. I'm planning to make or do. Okay, you have your first doubt. Tour. How do you pronounce tour? Well, I have to say that I say tour because in Australia they say tour, right? But in other places they say tour, right? But it's okay. Tour. How do you? Okay. Second doubt that you can solve by yourself, right? In a couple of months more, or in a couple of months time. So then in only that phrase you have three doubts, right? Three doubts that you can solve by your own, right? So by that way you can go advancing, right? So that's why I strongly recommend to you to make videos as well. And here in this moment you guys are doing two things at the same time, right? You are chatting and you are making a video as well, right? So you are being you are being twice effective, right? You are being efficient, right? So I have to strongly congratulate you guys for that. Okay, I guess that I have been talking enough for now, and I want to thank you guys. I'm really pleased of for your cause. I'm really pleased due to your video, and see you next time. Bye bye.